So this is going to be a really hard movie to talk about. Madness in the Method is written and directed by Jason Mewes. Now, this is a person, an actor who I've grew up with almost. I first saw him in Clerks and followed him through Kevin Smith's movie universe and onwards and upwards out of that, out of the View X universe. And it's a character that I've always enjoyed seeing on the big screen, but I've always thought of him as Jay from the Jay and Silent Bob teamwork. Now, if you haven't seen any of those Kevin Smith movies, you don't know that legacy of that character, this movie is going to leave you a little bit cold. But because I was so familiar with all of that world, with all of these characters, I found a movie that I really liked because of some of the twists and turns it takes. It's a very meta movie. We have Jay introduced at the start as a character actor who just can't be taken seriously. Everybody thinks of him as Jay from Jay and Silent Bob and want to cast him in similar roles. He wants to break out from this. He's talking to his friends from the other View X universe movies and Kevin Smith, the man behind all that, about what he can do to further his career. And they all kind of just say the same thing. You are Jay, Jay is you, that's who you're going to be. And he decides to try and purchase this mystical book that's going to teach him the skill of method acting. And this book is given to him by a mystical figure who tells him to take it in drips and drabs, don't take too much of it. But he does, he delves into this book and he starts to learn all these various ways of acting and it overloads his senses and he starts to become accidentally homicidal, which is a funny phrase to say. He starts to bump off various competition and people who have infuriated him by accident almost. And it's funny. It lets you into the mind of this character. It works on several levels because as a fan of the View X universe, I get all these characters back. I get them in a kind of real world meta setting where Jay is kind of taking out his frustrations, which are probably born for real life. He has been typecast as this character. This is his only way of trying to break free from that. And by breaking free, he is going further deeper into the self-character of Jay, which is really kind of interesting and fun when you look at it that way. But like I said, the movie does take a turn into him murdering people, and it's in this where it really kind of breaks away from a lot of the comedic movies that he has been in. And this movie does have its funny moments in it as well. It gets a little bit darker and bleaker. There is blood, there is fun moments constantly throughout this thing as this character finds himself deeper and deeper into this method acting way and hurting people. But at the same time, it manages to have a fine balance of the comedy with some of the darker elements in the movie as well. And I love the way that it wraps up. It clearly has some thought within it of a story beat all the way through it. And I think if you know the character, there is great themes in this as well of trying to break free of something that you have been pigeonholed, but also realising that that's a good thing as well, being that way, being typecast as that character, because that's the character that gave you everything that you had, everything that you have right now. There is lots of fun performances in this as well. We get a great one from Vinnie Jones and we get these two characters hanging out. You get Gina Carano in the movie, Kevin Smith, some of the characters from Clerks come back as well in big roles. And it's a joy to watch. But, and this is a huge but, if I wasn't so familiar with that series going into that, if I wasn't familiar with a lot of these characters, would this have given me as much of a kick as it did? Would I have had as much enjoyment if I didn't know all the nudges and winks? It's a really tough movie to call on whether you're going to like it or not. It all comes down to the fact of, are you knowledgeable about the View X universe? Do you know the characters of Clerks, of Mallrats, those kind of arcs? Do you even know some of the real world antics? If you do, then this thing's going to play like gangbusters. It's going to tick all your boxes. For me, I loved it. I felt as if it did that fine trick of balancing the humour, the meta element of it, with some darker, bloody elements and poking fun at themselves at the same time. I felt it was expertly done. You can tell it's low budget, but that doesn't matter because the sheer energy put into the movie is so much fun to watch. I can highly suggest this if you're a huge fan of the previous mentioned movies, or if you're a big fan of Jason Mewes himself. I think you'll get a lot out of that. Other than that, I'm not too sure, but I would be curious to know your thoughts on it. If you haven't seen a lot of those Kevin Smith movies, if you don't know much about Jason Mewes, what did you think of Madness in the Method? Let me know in the comment box below, and I will see you next time on Man vs. Film.